extreme more than words. Just a lot of chordage going on here, if that's a word, chordage. Kind of just some bass note picking and then light accenting on strings. Just a heads up, this song, the recorded version, is actually tuned down a half step, so everything would be, it'd be like E flat, A flat, D flat. But I'm gonna assume that no one's really trying to do that, and we're just gonna keep it standard tuning. So if it doesn't quite sound like the recorded version, that's why. So we'll start here with the intro, and it's also the first half of the verse, and it's what's going on during the interlude section, which we'll get to. But essentially, it's going to start with a G chord. Okay. All right, and we're going to play that G chord. Sometimes you can see it with the third on the B string also. Yeah, we're going to do that style. Okay, and basically we're just going to hit bass note and just hit the light top three strings right after that, and just kind of keep them short and sweet. And of course, in the song you can hear him just like silencing his guitar with his hand, and it kind of acts as like a rhythm element. So you can feel free to do that too if you like. If you see any of these X's that you see in these tabs, that's essentially what that is. Something like that. Okay. Alright, so one measure of that. And then it switches to a C add 9, which is essentially the same thing we're doing, but we're just going to come down and focus more on the bass note, the third fret on the A. Okay. And we're just still hitting those threes in the open G there. And this one changes up a little bit because we hit the chord, and then we kind of do a stop, and we open up the high E. Whoop, that was good. Okay, and then we're going to want to do 3 to open on the E. Okay. Okay. Okay, and then we do an A minor 7. And we play that pretty much the same way we played that C add 9, strum-wise. Still doing that 3 to open on the E. Okay. And then we're going to do a brief C chord. Okay. And then we're going to do a D sus4. It's initially a D, so just strum it like a D. But we're going to do the 3, the 2 to 3, and then back off it again on the high E. Okay. So it's that D to the D sus4. And then it would end up back at the G. Okay, so we'll try this all together. Okay, so that progression will repeat a couple times, and then it gets into the second half of the verse, where we end up at an E minor. Okay. Then we go to A minor 7 with that 3 open pull off. Okay, then we do a D7. Okay, to a G. And then here we're going to kind of scale down. We're going to go to the G, and then we're going to make a D chord, but use our thumb. You can stretch and use your pointer. I just like to use my thumb. It's easier for me. But we're going to make the D chord, but we're going to hit the F sharp 2nd fret there on the E. Okay, so. Okay. And then end up on the E minor. Alright, and after that repeats a couple times, we'll get into the chorus here. It's going to start with the A minor 7. Do the 3 open pull off on the E. To a D. Just 3 strums of that. To a G7. G7, and then we hit 2nd fret A bass note, so it's a G7 with a B bass note. Okay, so, and then end up on a C. Okay, we'll put that together. Alright, second part of the chorus. We'll start with the C minor chord. Okay, to G. And then here we hit, kind of scale down and hit the F sharp bass note. And then an E minor 7, which basically we're just kind of sticking with that G chord, the top strings of it, but we're just hitting the open E and the 2nd fret on the A. Alright, in the end of the chorus, it just kind of holds on 2 chords, starting with the A minor 7. So just 1 strum of that and let it ring. And then to the D7, same thing. New progression here, starting with the G. Kind of the same picking we've been doing with that. Okay, for 2 measures. Then to a D. Okay, 4 strums of that. To E minor. And then we hit a B minor. Okay. And then the C. Okay, continuing on with this next section, it's a C. scale down by hitting the second on the A. Okay. To A minor 7 with the 3 open pull off. To D. D7 to G. Alright, and the first progression of this section repeats one more time here, and the end of this section once again, it kind of starts the same way, just the C. To the second fret scale down here. To the A minor 7. With the pull off. But here, we just strum the D7 once. And just let it ring. Alright, and now the interlude part, the la-di-da section, I guess you could call it. It's essentially just the verse again. Alright, but the only difference here is at the ending of it, we're just going to end it on those single strum chords. So it would be the G to the C add 9, the pull off, and then we just do the A7 as one strum, and then the D7 as one strum. Alright, and a special note here, after you get through the chorus the second time, it typically would end on just these single strum chords, but he kind of just sneaks in one more chord at the second half of the last measure there. So it would end, as usual, with the A minor 7 strum. And here he just does a straight up D. Okay, but instead of just letting that ring out the whole measure, the second half of the measure, we're going to sneak up and do a funky little chord. It's a D7 flat 9. Okay, and we do that here with the 5 on the E, 5 on the G, and then 4 on the D and the B. So it just kind of looks like a real clustered chord there. Kind of funky sounding. Okay, so it'd be alright, and now towards the end of the song, after they get into the la-di-da parts once again, and it just keeps going, and you think any song would probably fade out at this point, but it starts to get kind of loose, and some new elements come in. Essentially, they're just doing the verse pattern, but now he's kind of just going to do some just real loud single strums of things. Let's see. He keeps the G pretty much the same, but then once he gets to the C add 9, he'll hit the bass note, and then he'll just start strumming on the whole chord a few times, like fairly loudly. So something like that, and then the same with the rest of the chords throughout the progression. So he gets to the A minor 7, and then the C, D. Okay, so. Okay, so kind of a simplified, louder version of it. All right, and then the progression starts again, and it stays fairly normal. But then once he gets towards the end of it, once he gets to that D at the end of the progression, then he kind of breaks it down and just picks through these chords a little more. Okay, we just do something like that, and then we do the bass note of the D, open E to 2nd fret, to G. Okay, so just real light kind of. Okay, then we go to the G. Okay. Alright, and then we just kind of slide the bass note down here to the 2nd fret. We can form a D chord like that, and then just, you can use your thumb if you like, or the index. And then we slide that down even one more fret for a D minor F. And then to a E suspended 4, which is just like a normal E, but we just do a 2nd fret on the G string also. And then we just pick all the way through that. Okay, then to A minor 7. Alright, so try it all together. Alright, and now here is the tapping section. Full disclosure, I don't really tap. I'm not really into it. Not very good at it either. So I'll just leave you the tabs for it here, and knock yourself out. I don't think it really fits the song anyway, so I don't know why anyone is going to be trying to do this. Kind of showy, not really into it. But anyway, here's the tabs. Alright, and all that out of place tapping there just kind of ends on a harmonic, and basically we're just going to hover our finger right over the 7th fret here. Okay, not really fretting it, just kind of lightly placing it there. Just strum that. Alright, and then kind of just ending on some more picking through chords. It's a G. And then we just bring it to the C bass note, and we end up with the C suspended 2, down to 2nd fret bass note on the A, 1st fret, and then just ending on an A minor 7. And we do a little 3 to 5 slide up on the E, and then pull off real quick, 5 3 5 3, and then just end it on a G chord. Alright, that was Extreme, More Than Words. A lot of chords in there, a lot of picking around, interesting compositions. Do me a favor, hit the subscription. I'm trying to put out a video every other day, so keep an eye out for that. Keep it extreme. We'll see you next time.